Before the lights come on, before the judges sit down, before a single note is sung, there's a moment that changes everything. A small boy stands alone behind a curtain, hands shaking, whispering a prayer his mother taught him. In just a few seconds, millions of people will see him, but right now, it's just a Filipino kid with a borrowed dream, a borrowed suit, and a voice no one is ready for. He grew up in a narrow street where the houses lean on each other like tired friends. Mornings meant helping his mother sell food, afternoons meant school, and nights meant music playing softly from an old radio that worked only if you held the wire just right. That radio was his treasure. That's where he first heard Elvis Presley. The sound was different, strong, warm, fearless. When Elvis sang, it felt like the world listened. The boy didn't understand the English words at first, but he understood the feeling. He sang along anyway, quietly at night so the neighbors wouldn't complain, imagining a stage bigger than his whole neighborhood combined. Life wasn't kind or cruel, it was simply heavy. His father worked far away and came home only when he could. Some days there was extra food, some days there wasn't. But music never left. At school, he was shy. Kids laughed when he sang because his accent was thick and his clothes were old. Still, when he closed his eyes and sang, the laughter faded. In those moments, he wasn't poor or small. He was free. The audition day arrived faster than his courage could catch up. Backstage was loud, people warming up, laughing, crying, dreaming out loud. He felt invisible and too visible at the same time. When a producer asked what song he would sing, he said the name softly. An Elvis song. The producer raised an eyebrow, surprised, but nodded. The boy swallowed hard. He thought about his mother waiting outside, holding her phone with both hands like it was a lifeline. Then his name was called. Walking onto that stage felt like stepping into the sun. The lights were blinding. The audience was a blur. The judges looked powerful, distant, especially Simon Cowell, whose face showed nothing at all. The boy introduced himself, voice trembling, and told them where he was from. There was a polite smile, a pause, and then the question everyone waits for, whenever you're ready. The music began. The first note changed the room. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was honest. Deep beyond his years, rich with something you can't teach. The audience leaned forward without realizing it. Simon's pen stopped moving. The boy stood still, eyes closed, singing like the stage was his only home. Every lyric carried the weight of his life, missed meals, long walks, quiet hopes. He didn't copy Elvis. He honored him, pouring his own story into every word. Halfway through the song, something unbelievable happened. The crowd started clapping in rhythm, softly at first, then stronger. The boy opened his eyes and saw it. His fear cracked, just a little. His voice soared. He sang the final note and let it hang in the air, shaking, real. Silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the room exploded. Cheers, applause, people on their feet. The boy froze, unsure if this was real. He looked at the judges. One was smiling wide. Another wiped away a tear. And Simon Cowell, the man known for his toughest words, was completely speechless. He stared, nodded slowly, and finally spoke about something you can't train, something you either have or you don't. The boy listened, barely breathing, as dreams he never said out loud were suddenly spoken for him. Backstage, his mother cried into his shoulder. Not because he won something, but because the world finally heard what she had always known. That night, the boy didn't just sing a song. He reminded millions that talent doesn't care where you come from. That dreams don't ask permission. That sometimes, the smallest voices carry the biggest truths. If this story moved you even a little, imagine how powerful it is to help stories like this reach more people. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to believe again. Because somewhere right now, a kid is singing into the dark, hoping someone will listen, and you can be the reason they're heard. Just imagine this, before the camera red light turns on, before the crowd cheers, before the judges even look up, a young Filipino boy stands completely still, breathing fast, clutching the microphone like it might slip away. In that moment, everything he has ever dreamed of is balanced on one heartbeat. And in just a few seconds, the world is about to witness something so powerful that even the toughest judge won't know what to say. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because moments like these deserve to be shared. The boy comes from a place where dreams are often postponed. His mornings begin early, helping his mother prepare food to sell before school. His shoes are worn, his uniform faded, but his spirit is bright. Music is his escape. When the day feels too long or the night feels too quiet, he sings. Not for applause, not for attention, but because singing makes the world feel lighter. An old radio in their small home plays songs from another time, and that's where he discovers Elvis Presley. The voice feels strong, comforting, and brave. He doesn't understand everything Elvis sings, but he understands enough to feel hope. People around him don't always believe. Some say his dreams are too big, others say singing won't change anything. But his mother listens. Every night. She hears something special in his voice, something honest. She tells him to sing louder, to sing proudly, to sing like he belongs on a stage. He remembers those words when the audition day finally arrives. The theater is huge. The lights are bright. The audience is filled with strangers. As he walks onto the stage, his heart feels like it might jump out of his chest. He introduces himself shyly. His hands shake. The judges watch closely. One of them asks what song he'll sing. When he answers Elvis Presley, there's a pause. A few raised eyebrows. Doubt hangs in the air. Then the music starts. From the very first note, something changes. His voice is deep, emotional, and unexpectedly powerful. It doesn't sound rehearsed, it sounds lived in. The audience goes quiet. Every word carries emotion far beyond his age. He isn't performing anymore. He's telling his story through the song. Struggle. Hope. Pain. Strength. The camera pans to the judges. Smiles fade into shock. One leans forward. Another stops writing. And Simon Cowell doesn't move at all. The boy sings like this is his one chance, because it is. His fear turns into confidence. His voice grows stronger. When he hits the final note, it echoes through the theater, raw and unforgettable. The music stops. Silence. Then suddenly, cheers. Applause. The audience rises to their feet. The boy's eyes widen. He can't believe what he's seeing. His legs feel weak. Tears fill his eyes as the judges begin to speak. Praise follows praise. But when Simon finally talks, his words are slow, careful. He admits he didn't expect this. He says moments like this are rare. For once, he has no criticism, only respect. Backstage, his mother breaks down in tears. Years of sacrifice, doubt, and struggle suddenly feel worth it. That night, a boy who once sang quietly in the dark is heard by millions. Not because he was rich. Not because he was famous. But because he was real. This audition isn't just about singing. It's about believing when no one else does. It's about courage. It's about dreams that survive even the hardest lives. And if this story inspired you, take 1 second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it. Because the next unforgettable voice might still be waiting, and your support helps bring those dreams to light. The curtain trembles slightly as it closes behind him, and in that tiny gap between backstage and spotlight, a young Filipino boy takes one last breath. His fingers are cold, his heart is racing, and for a brief second he wonders if this was all a mistake. Then he remembers why he's here. In just moments, one song will decide everything. And before you hear what happens next, remember this: stories like this only reach the world because people like you believe in them. So if you feel even a spark of emotion, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because this moment is unforgettable. He didn't grow up dreaming of fame. He grew up dreaming of enough. Enough food for the week. Enough money for school supplies. Enough peace at home so his mother wouldn't worry so much. Music was never planned, it simply appeared, sneaking into his life through an old radio balanced on a cracked shelf. Late at night, when the neighborhood finally slept, that radio carried voices from faraway places. One voice stood out more than the rest. Strong. Gentle. Fearless. Elvis Presley. The boy didn't know why the songs made his chest feel warm, but every time he sang alone, it felt like hope. At school, he was quiet. Teachers saw potential, classmates saw someone different. Some laughed when he sang, others ignored him. But every evening, when his mother returned home tired, he sang for her. She never stopped him. She never doubted him. She told him that his voice carried something special, something real. Those words stayed with him on the days when life felt too heavy for a child his age. The audition day arrived like a storm. Loud, fast, overwhelming. The theater felt unreal, like a world he wasn't meant to enter. Other contestants stretched their voices, laughed confidently, talked about winning. He stood alone, clutching his microphone, praying silently. When they called his name, his legs nearly refused to move. He stepped forward anyway. The stage lights were blinding. The audience was huge. The judges sat like statues of authority. The moment before the curtain opens is the loneliest place in the world. A young Filipino boy stands there, eyes closed, lips trembling, holding a microphone that feels heavier than it should. His heart beats so loud he's sure the judges can hear it. In a few seconds, his voice will decide his future. And before this moment unfolds, remember, if stories of courage, struggle, and impossible dreams move you, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what happens next deserves to be remembered. He comes from a home where dreams are quiet because reality is loud. The kind of place where mornings begin before sunrise and nights end with tired hands and hopeful prayers. His mother works hard, always smiling even when life gives her reasons not to. His father does what he can, when he can. There were days with laughter and days with silence, but music was always there. An old radio, scratched and unreliable, filled their small room with songs from another world. That's where he heard Elvis Presley for the first time. The voice felt fearless, powerful, alive. When Elvis sang, it sounded like confidence, and the boy wanted to feel that way too. He practiced in secret at first, singing softly so no one would tease him. At school, some kids laughed when they heard him sing. Others told him to be realistic, to think smaller. But at night, when the house finally rested, he sang freely. His mother listened from the other room, never interrupting, never doubting. She told him his voice carried truth, and truth always finds its way. The audition day felt unreal. The theater was massive. The crowd was loud. People around him spoke about winning, about fame, about changing their lives. He didn't know how to talk like that. He only knew how to sing. When his name was called, fear rushed through him, but so did hope. He walked onto the stage slowly, every step echoing his doubts and his dreams. The judges asked simple questions. Where he was from. What he would sing. When he said Elvis Presley, the room paused. It was a bold choice. Maybe too bold. The music began anyway. From the very first note, everything changed. His voice didn't sound like a child's. It sounded like a story. Deep, emotional, and steady, filled with feelings he had lived, not learned. The audience leaned in. Conversation stopped. The judge's expression shifted from curiosity to disbelief. The boy stood still, eyes closed, singing like the world depended on it, because for him, it did. As the song went on, his fear faded. He wasn't thinking about judges anymore. He wasn't thinking about cameras. He was thinking about his mother listening at home, about every night he sang just to survive the day. His voice grew stronger, braver, until the final note rang out, pure and unforgettable. Silence followed. For a heartbeat, no one reacted. Then the crowd erupted. Applause thundered through the theater. People stood, cheering, shouting his name. The boy's eyes filled with tears as he looked toward the judges. Praise came easily from some. But when Simon Cowell spoke, the room grew quiet again. There were no sharp words. No criticism. Just honesty. Just respect. Even he hadn't expected this. Backstage, his mother cried like she had been holding her breath for years. Her son hadn't just sung, he had been heard. Not because of where he came from, but because of what he carried inside. This audition wasn't about winning a show. It was about proving that talent has no boundaries, that courage can come from the humblest places, and that one voice can change everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere, right now, another child is singing quietly, waiting for their moment to be heard. Just before the curtain opens, there's a second where the noise disappears. A young Filipino boy stands in that silence, palms damp, chest tight, whispering the words of a song that carried him through countless nights. In a few heartbeats, the world will hear him and nothing will ever be the same. If stories like this give you chills, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to witness is more than an audition, it's a turning point. He comes from a place where life moves fast and dreams move carefully. His days are stitched together with small responsibilities, helping at home, walking to school, listening more than he speaks. Money is always counted twice. Smiles are earned. But music arrives without asking. It slips in through an old radio, through neighbors' windows, through memories of better days. One voice, especially, stays with him. Strong but gentle. Confident but warm. When he sings those songs, he feels taller than he is, braver than he feels, seen in a way he never has been. He doesn't tell many people about his dream. Dreams feel fragile where he's from. Some classmates laugh when they hear him sing. Others tell him to be practical. He nods, says nothing, keeps singing anyway. At night, when the house is quiet, he sings softly so his mother can rest. She listens from the other room, pretending not to hear, so he won't feel shy. When he finishes, she tells him he sounds like hope. That word stays with him. The audition day is overwhelming. The building is huge, the lights are harsh, and everyone seems louder, older, surer of themselves. He waits backstage, watching others rehearse, wondering if he belongs there at all. When his name is called, his knees weaken, but he walks forward. He reminds himself that he didn't come this far to turn back. On stage, the lights erase the crowd. The judges' faces are serious. Questions come and go. He answers quietly. When he says what song he'll sing, there's a pause that feels too long. Doubt lingers in the air. Then the music starts. The first note lands, and the room changes. His voice is deep, steady, filled with emotion that doesn't sound borrowed, it sounds lived. The audience grows still. Conversations stop mid-breath. Every word carries weight, long days, quiet nights, promises made to himself when no one was listening. He doesn't perform, he confesses. Halfway through, he opens his eyes and sees people leaning forward, drawn in without realizing it. His fear loosens its grip. He reaches the final note and holds it, not perfectly, but honestly. The sound fades. Silence. Then the applause breaks like a wave. Cheers rise. People stand. The boy blinks, stunned, tears threatening to fall. The judges speak, one by one, praising not just his voice, but the feeling behind it. When the toughest voice among them finally responds, the words are few and careful. Respect replaces expectation. For a moment, even the sharpest opinions have nothing to add. Backstage, his mother folds him into her arms. Years of worry spill out as tears. This wasn't about winning. It was about being heard. About a boy who sang through uncertainty and found his place in the light. This moment reminds us that talent doesn't need permission, that courage can be quiet, and that a single voice, when it's real, can travel farther than anyone imagines. If this story moved you, help it reach someone else. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this moment. Somewhere tonight, another kid is singing softly, believing that maybe, just maybe, the world will listen next. The night before the audition, the boy could not sleep. He lay on a thin mattress on the floor, staring at the cracked ceiling of their small home, listening to the distant sounds of motorcycles passing and dogs barking somewhere far away. His mother slept a few feet from him, exhausted after another long day of work, her breathing slow and steady. He held the microphone they had borrowed from a neighbor, not because he needed it, but because holding it made the dream feel real. Tomorrow, his voice would be heard by people he had only ever seen on a screen. Tomorrow, his life might change. Or it might not. That uncertainty made his chest feel tight, but it also filled him with a strange excitement. And if stories like this make you feel something deep inside, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because moments like these deserve to travel far. He grew up in a place where everyone knew each other, where news spread faster than hope. His mornings began before sunrise. Sometimes he helped his mother prepare food to sell, sometimes he fetched water, sometimes he simply watched her hands move quickly and skillfully, doing everything she could to keep their lives together. His father worked far away, sending money when possible, coming home when he could. The boy learned early that love didn't always mean being present, and that sacrifice often came quietly. School was important, but survival came first. Still, even in the middle of responsibility, he found moments to dream. Music entered his life like a secret. An old radio, scratched and unreliable, sat near the window. Some days it worked, some days it didn't. But when it did, it filled the room with voices from another world. One night, as rain tapped against the roof, a song played that made him stop moving altogether. The voice was deep, smooth, confident. It sounded like someone who wasn't afraid of anything. Elvis Presley. He didn't understand all the words, but he understood the feeling. Strength. Longing. Freedom. He sang along quietly, copying the sounds, letting the melody carry him somewhere far from his worries. From that night on, singing became his escape. When the house was empty, he sang louder. When people were around, he sang softly. At school, he rarely spoke unless spoken to. Some classmates noticed his voice and teased him for it. They said he sounded strange. They said his dreams were unrealistic. He smiled politely and stayed quiet, but inside, their words hurt. Still, every evening, when he sang at home, his mother listened.